I guess my job here today is to introduce to some and I guess reintroduce to others a person who I admire, a person who I look up to, I guess, as a leader. I call her the real live Harriet Tubman. It's because she's been fighting for Democrats and others, African Americans, Hispanics. But she's been fighting for the people who need a voice for the voiceless for so long. 15 years she's been traveling the state doing expungement forums. She's a judge, and sometimes she'll say, why does a judge do expungements and try to clear people's record? A person putting somebody in jail trying to help you clear your record. And that's because I think that she understands the importance of having a second chance. She understands the importance of restorative justice. Beyond that, she's been a judge for 21 years. She's been a Democrat all her life. And I think that she's done so much more for the Democratic Party than the Democratic Party has done for her. As a judge, she just got finished running for the Michigan State Supreme Court. That was her third time running. When Democrats don't step up to run, and when African Americans haven't stepped up to run statewide to challenge Republicans who have for so long shoved rulings as well as policies down our throats that are not improving the quality of lives of Michiganders, she has been there to not only talk about restorative justice, but push the Democratic platform forward, but even more importantly, help inspire others to get involved. I just heard a story just standing over there just a second ago about a person who's here today who was inspired to run for office because of a speech that Judge Thomas gave. When you hear her, you're going to hear passion. When you hear her, you're going to understand the love for people. And when you hear her, you're going to know that leadership runs through her bones. Leaders aren't quiet. They squeaky wheels. And this young lady been squeaking for a long time, and we're going to bring her on up here. None other than my leader, the real live Harriet Tubman, Judge Deborah Thomas.
Thank you. Why should you be involved? And part two is, why should you be involved in the Democratic Party if you're going to be involved? You should be involved because civics, government operation, government function, government service. And through civics, through how the government operates, dictates the quality of life you will have. Why should you get involved? Because you are young, and theoretically, you got a whole lot of years ahead of you. And you need to set the tone, but not just set the tone, the pace, the rhythm, the direction. And you need to do it now. In my community, we have a habit of telling our young folks, you are the future. The young people are the future. Well, I like to put it like this. The young folks are the future, but if you can hear me say you are the future, that means you're here now, and that means the future is now. You need to be acting now to create the future you would like to live in. We won't even say your children will live in. How about just the one you want to live in? Why the Democratic Party? By a show of hands, who in here has read the Democratic Party platform? Not bad. That means that you are aware of their stance, their written statement, as it deals with equality, as it deals with equity in pay, as it deals with access, as it deals with environment. You are aware of what is put on paper. Paper does not act. People have to take the words that are on paper and put them into action. You have to be there. You have to be there to speak up, to stand up, to roll up your sleeves. You have to act. Or what you see on paper will stay on paper. We are at a crossroad. And we are not just at a crossroad countrywide. We are at a crossroad statewide. If we are going to make a change, we have to have a plan. How about that? A plan. A plan. How about a long-term plan with short-term measurable markers? How about the long-term plan is a 4-year plan, so that 4 years from now, we won't find ourselves where we are today nationally. Yes. Amen. That's a long-term plan. But how about as a short-term actions between now and then? We begin with, what elections are up next year? Is there a city council race in your hometown? Is there a school board that's coming up? Oh, I small potatoes. It's a good place to get some practice, to learn what it means to work in a campaign. And I would like to emphasize school board because education is the key to success. By educating, by sitting on the school board, by determining who will be the superintendent, what the curriculum will look like, you are planting seeds that will grow for years to come. Again, a long-term plan with immediate, short-term, measurable markers. As you put people into office for city county, for county commissioner, these people have a tendency to move up to other offices. They move up to state rep positions, state senate positions. They run for Congress. It's a long-term plan. But if you don't plant the seeds now, if you don't identify folks who believe in what you believe in, who want the future like you want the future, who put people before money, who put cooperation and inclusion before ego, you won't have a better future that you should be working on now. The future is now. One of the most difficult parts of being young and working in the Democratic Party, I was young once and I was working in the Democratic Party. Well, thank you. And something that I would like to encourage, there's a stigma that's attached to being young. And folks love to tell you you haven't paid any dues. All right? Now, I don't see, who's measuring who's paid what dues. Because if you grew up in a dysfunctional household, there were some dues that were paid. You paid some dues. If you lived in a community where services weren't what they were supposed to be, should have been, you paid dues. I would like to encourage the young Dems to change their name to the next generation Dems. The next generation Dems. It emphasizes the fact I'm next in line and I'm moving on up. And in addition to that, it keys into those folks who are in position, who have the authority and the power. There is a next generation, and somebody's going to have to help you across the street. Tie that beer bone before you eat. Cut that meat for you. Maybe you'd like to be friendly with the next generation, thems. Think about it. Think about it. There's something just in its first impression that is a step up and a step stronger and a step forward. When you are a student, and I'm not going to speak much longer because I know I'm not the only speaker. When you are a student and you are involved, and you're involved through your campus, when you graduate, where do you go? How do you stay in touch? How do you keep the mechanism that is being created still moving? If you decide that you're going to do this through a caucus, it's got to be a caucus that meets more than twice a year. Perhaps through Skype, conference calls, but it's got to be an organizational structure that meets on a regular basis, that determines what its goals are, that determines the method of achieving those goals, that follows up to make sure that someone didn't drop the ball and no one knew it until it was too late to pick it up and run with it later. In closing, it is far more sustainable, far more energetic, far more longevity when you work towards or for something than when you work against something. At your base of your philosophy, of your belief, of your energy, you have to be working for what you want, not against what you don't want. And when you have measured steps of success, kind, good-hearted people have a tendency to say, "Ooh, we won, we have overcome." And they go away because they won and they overcome. Freedom is not free. And the battle for liberty is a battle without end. If you step in, be prepared to stay in, because there is always going to be a new challenge facing you. The battle for liberty is a battle without end. I am Deborah Thomas, and I love you dearly. Thank you.